Nice big beautiful copper kettle.
Today we are here in Albany and we are going to meet the brewer of Wunderkammer Bier.
My name is Vasilios Gletsos. I am the sole employee of Wunderkammer Biermanufaktur. This is very much a very small boutique, artisanal, however you want to say it, operation. I'm really making only a few hundred barrels a year. I've brewed more in a single day than I brew all year here at other breweries I've worked at. You can see the beautiful fields of Albany behind me here amongst the burdock. I actually haven't put the burdock in a beer yet. There's nobody around. It's very quiet. Sometimes the cars go by quickly on a dirt road here, but that's about it. Yeah, so this is my brew house. Formerly it was where the Bonneview farm would make their cheese. The cave, which is down the road there, was the place where they would age it, bring it to maturation basically. Cheese circles. I modified a lot of the equipment. I was able to make it suitable for brewing. I've got my direct fire kettle there, wood fire kettle. Should we do the steam shot?
Yeah.
All right. Copper's a really great metal for brewing with. 1,000-liter kettle, 10 hectoliters, about equivalent to 275 gallons. This is where it all starts in the beer making process, where the grain gets converted into wort, which then becomes beer. Got a fire going right now. I do that as soon as I start my brew day. Finish with my mash, the runnings start coming in here and I heat those up, knock it out, bring it to the cave for fermenting. The processes that I use and the botanicals that I add to the beers definitely open up a whole palate that's not ordinarily represented in beer, but might have been more traditional. I really like to incorporate aspects of the landscape into the beers itself. It's part of where the idea of Wunderkammer comes from. I mean, originally it was for me to take my craft and combine it with my art background and combine it with my love of foraging. The Wunderkammer itself they're sort of the proto-museum, people's kind of private collections of their travels. I like to brew a lot with botanicals, so this really gives me the opportunity to add those botanicals in any part of the process. Almost everything I use is very much from the area. I do buy malt from Maine. Hops are very much indigenous and grow very well where we are in Vermont. It used to be the hop center of the country. So I first started Wunderkammer when I was working full-time over at Hill Farmstead. 2016, I think my first beers came out. I moved back to Vermont in 2015. I spent 10 years commercially brewing in Portland, Oregon. And before that, I was in Vermont touring with Bread and Puppet Theater.
And that's, you met your wife in Bread and Puppet?
Yeah, exactly. She was born and raised in Craftsbury, where we live now. I like to think of it more as sort of cultivating an audience, coming maybe a bit more from my puppetry background. I haven't seen too many brewing setups like this, except maybe in Belgian countryside. So yeah, this is where the process starts. Once the grain's all milled, I'll bring it into the brew house here. I brew every couple weeks. Here's the mash kettle. So basically I'm bringing in hot water into here, combining it with the grain, and that starts the enzymatic process of converting the starch that's in the grain into sugar. The liquid part goes on to the kettle and gets boiled with hops. That ferments afterwards in the cave and becomes beer. It makes it a different kind of beer. Hard to imagine anybody else trying to replicate it in another place, I really appreciate being able to make the beer here in this landscape, and a lot of what I'm interested in is reconnecting the sort of agricultural roots to brewing. It started off on farms where people were growing the grain. Modern breweries now, a lot of them are just kind of assembly factories, they take these agricultural products from around the world that everybody tries to make as homogeneous as possible and try and create a product there which is admirable, that's consistent and the same. This, like, by embracing the more agricultural roots of it, really try to make a beer that's more of an expression of time and place. Yeah, there's actually a lot of stuff out here that I would often use for my brewing as well. This, for example, right here is chicory. Made a beer with it a couple years back. You see our state flower here, some red clover. Here's one I like to use a whole lot. This is yarrow. It's a very ancient brewing herb. I still continue to use sumac and goldenrod. Made beers with mushrooms and lichen and different kinds of leaves. I made beers with lilacs and apple blossoms and linden flowers, and I don't really repeat beers very much. So even if I'll use the same materials to some degree, I'll usually make some modifications to it because there's always something more to explore, you know? It's quite a temperature change.
It really
Often
is.
it sort of feels like you jumped into a swimming pool when you come in here. So here we're in my cave cellar, just about a quarter mile down from the brew house. So I receive wort from the brew house here and ferment it, age it, put it in a bottle before moving it to my warehouse in Wolcott. Like a lot of people, I like to draw skulls, I think. This top line here is gin barrels, so it was a spruce tip beer. Taking on a bit of color. It's really how I prefer to sample the barrels. Here's a buckwheat beer. I'm starting to convert some of the space and install some equipment so I can make a wider range of beers, which is more common to what I've been doing throughout my career. Extremely niche, very artistic, focused mixed culture beer. I'm definitely going to keep doing that. It's a sort of a dark beer that was fermented in barrels, some of these barrels here, and then was moved into these like bourbon barrels that were then stout barrels that were then gin barrels. So it has a very kind of sort of more robust kind of barrel character to it. It doesn't have a name right now. Sort of my name that I'm using right now is Fort. I made a beer in the past called Red Fort. My beers really try to embrace that variability and seasonality and continuation of change being the only constant, you know?
Delicious. And we will get stuck in Vermont with you again from the beer cave real soon.
If I'm on top of it with every release, I'll usually say where it's going to. Some of it I don't distribute at all, so it'll be really just for Bottle Club and for people coming into the retail shop. Because we're so remote up here, it's really a good way for people who don't live in the Northeast Kingdom to purchase these, and I hold on to them basically till the end of the season. So